Hey, what's your problem? You have business problems? We have business solutions. Well, maybe. Life is a fight.
It is.
In business, every day is a fight.
Kinda.
So, hey, what's your problem?
Yes, thank you, John David Wells, the big voice guy of the What's Your Problem podcast show. Good friend of mine, known him since 2001. And he just had one of those amazing voices. He kind of sounded like Mike Rowe before Mike Rowe. Check him out, The Wells Report. Yes, this is the What's Your Problem podcast, where we talk to business owners and professionals all around the Middle Tennessee area about themselves, their backgrounds, and eventually we talk about whatever might be keeping them up at night. I've learned in life that once you realize it's always something, life just gets kind of better. It is what it is, and you figure it out. That's kind of how business works. There's always something keeping you up at night. I am your host, Jim McCarthy, with JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com. Yes, this isn't video and audio podcast. Go to whatsyourproblempodcast.com and pick your poison. If you don't like looking at my ugly mug, you can always listen. Tons of stuff to choose from there. But today, that's where I was going before, with the today. I have a good friend of mine and another B&I-er. A lot of B&I people lately because they're frankly just great people. Mr. Kevin Watson from Churchill Mortgage, sir. Thanks for coming out today, sir.
Thank you, Jim.
Glad
to be here.
You said you had to, you were running late, so you had to make up time, which is a fun thing for you.
Yes.
Because you're a car guy.
Lots of fun.
Yeah,
Making up time. Just have to watch for the county mounties.
You just got to do that every now and then. They might be hiding out, but hopefully you have somebody in front of you that's shaking the bushes for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Scouting them out.
So nothing, no events on the way here. You did about $1.15, $1.20 maybe, or
uneventful. Very nice. Had to kind of use the horsepower to get past a couple cars, but made it very safely.
What was the flavor today that you rode in? What was your cherry on?
A 2020 Aston Martin DB11.
Nice.
The 007 car.
That seems to be your favorite flavor as of late, right?
It was very nice.
What's your favorite route? Like if you had to take a Saturday or Sunday morning, afternoon drive, what do you prefer?
I love Leapers Fork. There's a road called Leapers Creek Road that's beautiful, and it's just got a real pretty drive. Beautiful farms. And, you got to take it easy because you got the bikers and the everything else, but it's just a real pretty drive. And you can just get back there and get lost in the beautiful country.
I'm going to tell you a story about that real quick, but first we're going to do the Random 5, which is brought to you by the Culioca Company. Check those guys out. If you need a cleaner that is probiotic-based and all-natural, that is the one. It's fairly new to market, but it is spreading like wildfire. Let's just go there. Because it's all probiotic paste, all natural type of cleaner that will even rid your carpets and couches and automotive interiors of cat urine smell, which is an impossible smell to get out of, apparently. Check them out. Links in the description. This is a random 5. 5 completely random questions.
Okay.
Ready?
Let's go.
What sentence can you say that makes total sense now but would seem insane 20 years ago?
Oh, wow. Let me message them.
Even texting was kind of coming into vogue back then, right?
It's the first thing I could think of.
I remember when texting came on the scene, and I was like, why would I do that? Let me just call them.
Or tagging them. Tag
people, that's right.
In the playground, that was a different thing.
That was.
So
and nightlife clubbing, that was a totally different thing in our 20s. Let's see. So question number 2, if you were given $5,000 to give the most amount of happiness to the most amount of people, what would you do?
Oh, man.
That's a good question.
Yeah. It'd have to be to a charity that is already going to match it. So that way I'm doubling my gift. How about that?
There you go. I think I like the Feed America First people.
Yeah. They're very good.
That is a good organization.
Yeah, Second Harvest, another good one.
Yep.
So we give a lot to our church. Feed the Hungry, we give to them too. Very good organization.
Even I'll give a shout out to Mr. Marcus Manise and StrongerThanMyFather.org.
My Father.
Yeah. Great organization. Okay, question number 3. What piece of culture or trend has died out, but you would like to see it make a comeback?
I wouldn't say it died out, but rock and roll is always just awesome.
Yeah.
The 70s and 80s, that music is classic.
Were you kind of a classic rock guy? Or
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Skinner,
Still
Marshall Tucker?
Still am.
38 Special?
Yeah.
Classic rock.
Very good classic rock.
That's right.
Love it.
That was my first radio station, was a classic rock station. If you inherited, this is question number 4. If you inherited, I'm pretty sure it's number 4, right?
Yeah.
I was in radio.
Yeah.
I don't know how to count. I'm good at math.
Yeah.
If you inherited a private jet from a stranger, what would you do with it?
Wow. I'd probably send my team somewhere fun.
Nice.
And let them have fun.
Very cool. I'm glad you thought immediately of your team first. That's nice.
I try to.
Number 5, and the final question. What's something from your childhood that used to be common but is now pretty rare? That's a good one.
Saturday morning cartoons.
I would go with drinking from the garden hose.
Yes,
right?
We did that. We did that. But I used to get up early and watch Saturday morning cartoons. That was the only time cartoons were on.
Right.
Now,
they're on
demand.
On demand, you can watch whatever you like.
Yeah.
But it was by appointment only.
Man, it was
great.
I get up so early that the cartoons weren't even on yet.
Were you a Super Friends guy?
Oh, yeah.
The Hall of Justice?
Hall of Justice.
Meanwhile.
Yes.
Yeah. So my story I was going to say before, I think I've told you this off the air, but I'll say it on the air. One Saturday, we were coming back from a soccer game, and we drive my 2008 Honda Odyssey, Burgundy, very rare, into one of the gas stations just south of 840 on Carter's Creek Pike. Yes. And it's a very boutique-y type of gas station. We needed to go to get some gas and, pull in, get out of the car, start fiddling around with the pump, and we're descended upon with like Ferraris and Aston Martins and just probably $5 million worth of cars just pour in, and they're everywhere. The guys are filling up. They're getting, they're walking around. So my daughter, her boyfriend are in the car. My wife's in the car. My other daughter's in the car. And loudly I proclaim, guys, watch yourselves around the Odyssey, okay? It's an
Nice.
08. It's vintage. Yeah. You don't see them much around here, so just kind of, keep your distance and enjoy the view.
Yeah.
And they're all, some of them laughed. Others were looking at me like, is this guy for real? But, those are the things I do to embarrass my family.
I love it.
Among other.
We're actually going to a birthday party tomorrow afternoon for a kid and bringing the Ferrari. So that way they get to see it.
I'll say
hopes and dreams of other 12-year-olds.
The show is sponsored loosely by Mercedes-Benz of Music City and the forthcoming Ferrari dealership that's opening.
Yeah, I was just talking to
they don't know that
guy
yet.
Named Mike over there.
Did you?
Yep.
Over
got
at
him on my text right here.
At Ferrari?
At Ferrari.
Nice.
Yeah, he was just telling me, here he is.
Tell him I sent you.
Okay. Yeah.
He'll go, who?
He just showed me a new car, and I'm like, wow.
That's awesome.
It's way more than I want to afford, but I'm not telling him that.
Right. Well, hey, you make an offer, you never know.
That's right.
Tell me, did you grow up around here?
I'm from Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah, North Alabama.
Right.
So,
Muscle Shoals or
little town called Hartselle.
Okay.
Alabama, and just right below the Tennessee River, where the Tennessee River dips down into Alabama. There's a little town called Decatur, so it's right below Decatur.
Okay.
And right on I-65.
Okay, so that's
you're going there.
As that bridge, you cross that bridge.
Cross the bridge
from the offshoot to Huntsville.
It'll be one of the exits on the right after that.
I know where that is.
Yep.
That's where Mallard Point is, right?
Yeah, Point Mallard.
There. Point Mallard. That's right.
Yep.
We got to go down there one of these days. Check it out.
Point Mallard's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you grew up around there,
yes.
Mostly in the South throughout your childhood?
Yes, in the South the whole time. Alabama, went to University of Alabama and graduated there in 92, Roll Tide. And then after that came here to Nashville. I've been here 30 years.
30 years.
30 years.
And you graduated college 92.
Yep.
So you're not that much older than I am. So.
Well, actually, I can't count. 91.
91.
I did a little military time up in Fort Knox.
Did you?
Armor officer course. And then after I got out of that, I started working at the Federal Reserve Bank downtown Nashville.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
So did you have that kind of a degree? Is that what you majored in?
Business and marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nothing with banking finance. That was just something you found.
I almost had a minor in finance.
Right.
But got the job and it was okay.
Yeah.
You know, the Federal Reserve, it was an interesting job, but definitely not what I wanted to do for my whole life. But a good way to get up here and get started.
You're one of the people that made a lot of good decisions, the people that I know that seemingly made a lot of good decisions early on in life, especially when it comes to investing. That's how I see it, right? You know, buying houses and investing in them. And I'm like playing catch up in my stage of life right now, right? You know, when did that all begin? Because I know that's a huge part of your background.
Yeah. So I've been in the mortgage business 27 years.
Right.
And in the Nashville surrounding area. So, you know, being in the business, you just see real estate all the time. So just fell in love with real estate and bought my first little house in East Nashville. I wish I would have kept that one.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
1996 for $73,000.
Yeah, you would have been a multimillionaire.
Yeah, I would have had a nice little property there. But, you know, hindsight's 2020. So I didn't really do it all perfectly.
Right.
But
you started early, is my point.
Yeah, so bought another house. But then in 2000, I met my wife. I had a little place in Green Hills, a little condo, and then she had a house in Fieldstone Farms.
Right.
So I was like, well, I really don't want to let this condo go. And so I'll just keep the condo and rent it out.
Right.
And I've never done it before. So I started renting it out, and it was good.
Yeah.
And paid down the loan, and it was good. So we kind of grew out of the little Fieldstone Farms house when we had our first one. And I was like, well, why don't we just keep that house too? So we kept that one, and we started renting it out. And it just kind of snowballed. We kept doing that for not every house that we had after that, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
And we definitely are not, I mean, there are a bunch of landlords around here that have hundreds of homes.
Yeah.
Thousands of homes.
Yeah.
You know, we have 7, which is...
That's pretty good, though. It's a good portfolio.
A really great place to be. I think I'd like to get to maybe 10.
Right.
And I'm good, you know.
What's the next East Nashville, in your opinion, around here?
Oh, yeah. You know,
in the Middle Tennessee area,
everything has just really grown. I say
it's massive.
I say if you know, I've always heard if you go a little further out from where Progress is now, that's where the next place is.
Lewisburg,
yeah,
Columbia area, south of Columbia,
yeah,
even in Pulaski,
Lewisburg, Pulaski, Hole in the Wall,
yeah, Hole in the Wall. That's right,
Hole in the Wall.
For those of you Californians that listen to the podcast that are moving in.
Yeah. And then, you know, Fairview's still a great area.
Yeah, true.
Dixon, Fairview.
Actually, for those of you Californians moving into the area, Bowling Green is a great area. Let's see. Huntsville.
You know, Huntsville is the #1 city in
it's
Alabama.
It's the biggest now.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I know.
Because
my mom lives there. She was like, it's growing immensely.
Yeah. Because it's close to, I mean, you know, an hour, you're in Nashville.
I was just on the phone today with a Californian moving to Chattanooga.
Right.
So the secondary cities are really continuing to grow quite a bit.
So it's typically, from what I see on the Facebook, because I've talked about this in the past, on Facebook, there's probably over 20 now, moving to Tennessee from California-centric type of groups.
Yeah.
And anybody who's in real estate or the car business or I'm like, guys, you need to be promoting on these pages because there's thousands of people on these pages, and they're all looking for, you know, they want to be a part of the societal fabric of Tennessee, but at the same time, they're still at the heart of California. And so, like AJ in our group, I'm like, dude, if you're already familiar with Matson Alarm, why not just get on those pages and start blowing it up? Because there's going to be people from Sacramento that are moving here in the mid-state, I guess if they call it the mid-state in California, that know of Matson Alarm. That's a sign of comfort.
Yeah.
Why not? You know?
I agree.
So, I mean, that's a great opportunity for anybody to get into. But getting into the mortgage side of things, I mean, earlier you said being part of the mortgage business, it just helped you see the potential in investing.
Yeah.
And a lot of that goes back to everything I talk about, not only marinating your mind in good stuff, marinating your company in good stuff, the people you hang out with. So you hang around a bunch of people that are all investment minded, eventually it rubs off.
Oh, yeah.
I never had those people. So
yeah. And, we've made some mistakes with investments. Most of it's timing, you know. And the great thing about real estate is in the long run, you really can't make many mistakes.
Right.
Because most real estate will grow pretty well.
Well, it's
grow past your mistakes.
It's a long game.
It's a long
mentality.
term. It's some people are smart enough and have the access to people to be able to flip, but it's very difficult. And I've seen so many people not do well that way, or it turn on them.
Yeah.
And but buying and holding is good.
Yeah.
I'm a big Robert Kiyosaki fan.
Yeah.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And,
now that's interesting. That's interesting that you say that, because he's a big proponent of a house is not an asset.
Right. That's exactly what he said. I was about to say that. Your house is not an asset because he defines an asset as anything that brings cash into your pocket.
Right.
Not takes it out of your pocket.
Right.
So your house is technically a liability.
It's a liability.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think that way.
No, I know. And so my investment properties are assets.
Yes.
But my house is technically a liability.
They're assets only if you have them rented out.
That's right.
Then they become liabilities when they're vacant.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
But you have enough of a portfolio that you can offset that risk.
You can diversify it a little bit. Yeah. So when one is not rented, the others cover it.
Yeah.
Which is nice to be able to have. So for a while, the biggest advice I would say on investing is not have any other debt.
Yeah.
If you the more out of debt you are, the easier you'll be able to qualify to get another one and have the cash flow to make it through the non-rental times or the roof that you need to replace.
Right.
Because if you think having one house, you have stuff pop up. When you have multiple houses, it multiplies.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. And so you've got to have, you've got to have the cash flow to make it through those times.
But we're in a good area because Nashville is not, I'll dare say, lightning in a bottle right now that, people are even having trouble, never mind buying a house, even finding a place to rent.
Yeah.
I guess it's challenging.
Yeah.
They can't build them fast enough.
I just rented a small house outside of Franklin to a Californian.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Yeah. And I had 7 or 8 other applications within a day.
Oh, wow.
So, they're running pretty quick. I wish I had 10 more of those.
And it's, with what may or may not be coming, God knows with the media these days, what they're trying to scare us with, there might be a sale coming, or at least a flattening of sorts, which would kind of be welcome in a way, I would imagine.
I can talk on that.
Go ahead.
Because we really look into that, and we talk to economists, and we look at, we have a guy named Barry Habib who does a really good job called Envious Highway, and we subscribe to that, and he does a really good job of educating us in the mortgage business on what's going on, sort of the talk of the day, what's happening, what economic indicator came out to cause rates to do this or that, or where they're going. Are we going into recession? Are we in a bubble? All these questions that are really big and people want to know. So, there was a Pulseonomics report. Zillow and Pulseonomics kind of get together to kind of say they surveyed 114 top economists throughout the nation to ask them what's going on, right? And the majority of them do believe we are going into a recession right now, probably already in it. A recession is defined as 2 quarters in a row of a negative GDP.
Right.
Last quarter was a negative. This quarter isn't reported yet, the second quarter. So we're in third quarter now, but second quarter it hasn't been reported yet, but it's most likely negative. So we're probably already in the very beginning of one. And the good news about housing is when we're in a recession, every single time, if you look back at history, every single time for the last 40 years we've been in a recession, house prices go up. other than 2008. 2008 was the only time it didn't, and that was mainly mortgage related because the type of loans that were being done, and then the other thing is rates go down during a recession. So we've had this pretty fastest I've ever seen in 27 years, interest rates going up in 6 months, almost 3 points. But we do believe that probably next year, not this year, but next year, we'll start to see those rates go down a little bit more and even out a little bit more.
I'll believe we're in a recession when we have people lining up to work.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because there's a lot of jobs out there. Available.
Tons of them.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's still lines at restaurants.
But do you think that COVID kind of did that where a lot of people are like, okay, service related, maybe I can do something different in my life.
Yeah.
Right? And I think people have gone online and created online businesses, online jobs.
True, yeah.
COVID. And then you've got some people just not, just making the government check, which that won't last for much longer.
But I mean, is that still happening? Is the government still doling out checks?
I think it's stopped now.
Yeah.
But another sad story is I think some of them are still living on their credit card.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because savings has gone down drastically in the last several months, and credit card spending has continued to go up. So you're going to have these credit cards at double-digit rates that are going to really hurt.
I got to do that.
Because inflation, you got to, the funny thing about inflation, and I think it was in Johnson or Nixon years, that the inflation numbers, gas and oil gas and food were taken out of the inflation numbers because they were so high that whichever president was trying to get elected wasn't going to get elected if it was that high. So he took it out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so now
he fudged the numbers.
Yeah. So now whenever you see inflation is like 9.1% now, that doesn't include the gas and the food price.
Oh, so they never put it back in?
No.
Really?
And so the gas, there's a chart. I'd have to look it up, but I think I've got it on my phone somewhere. But I believe that it's at least 50 to 60% here it is. Hey. So energy is up 42% from last year,
right?
Which is your gas. Well, no, it says energy is 42%. That's probably electric, and gas is up 60%. Food is up 10%. But those numbers are not included in the 9.1%.
Wow.
That the consumer price index shows.
So are we technically up 19%, you think? Or?
We're up a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you take 42% for energy and 60% for gas, that's a whole lot. And so, the common people that are just, living paycheck to paycheck, which is like 80% of America, when gas goes up and food goes up, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So what do? You put it on your credit card.
Or you find alternative methods, side hustles.
Well, hopefully.
The culture of the side hustle has certainly been born and nurtured out there by a lot of entrepreneurial types and influencers.
I think you're having a lot more entrepreneurial spirits come out, which I encourage. I think
it's great. Yeah,
I do too.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can, and that's the kind of thing, as we grow our business, not just the podcasting, voiceover, and audio production business that I run, and video here and there. My other business, which does a lot of lighting, it's just finding people, man. It's tough.
Finding good workers.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I talked to a guy today. He said we had some issues that came up on a job site, and I was working through them. And I said, one of my guys didn't run a wire over here. He's like, oh my gosh, I would have friggin' lit him up. I said, yeah, we don't do that because we don't have that luxury. And if we did, we still don't think we would do it. I don't agree with that kind of browbeating. He's like, well, I give him, 3 or 4 chances before I do that. I said, okay, I can see that. But I said, we take what we can get. But hey, if you show up and you're capable and you got a good attitude, we could train aptitude.
Oh yeah. We're the same way. We have some wonderful talent that we've recently picked up that don't have experience in the mortgage business, but we're teaching them, and they're going to do great. They're the next generation. I'm excited for them.
Are they young, typically people in their 20s, 30s?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a friend of mine who would have been great at it.
I got one older guy that started, and he's doing great.
Yeah.
In fact, he was in our B&I group. Yeah.
Who was that?
Dan.
Do I remember? Was I there? What?
Yeah, I think you were.
My brain is baked, man. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm turning into my dad. I was trying to figure out earnest money earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't think of the word.
Earnest
I'm like,
money.
the down payment, whatever. And they're like, even my brother, who's an attorney, I was telling him about a situation. I'm going, the stuff you put down on when you sell a building. He goes, I don't, and he was stumped. I'm like, I'm glad I'm not the only one. But it's like, I'm having these little brain farts constantly.
Oh, yeah.
I need to take the Omega pill.
It's just the getting older. Right? Got to keep your brain sharp.
I'm on level 46, so soon to be on level 47.
Good.
I'm calling it levels these days. So, finding people, you go into a restaurant, there's still a good 20, 30-minute wait at prime time. A lot of those indices tell me that we're not feeling the pain yet, Do you remember the last recession that you felt pain? Was it 08, 09? I mean, you had to shift a lot in your business, I would imagine.
The interesting part about the mortgage business is I don't want to say we're recession proof,
right?
But when the recession comes in, every single time, 100% of the time, rates go down.
Right.
So that means everybody that has a higher interest rate is contacting us, and so every single customer that we've ever worked with is contacting us, and so it gets really, really busy. I don't have time to think about, what's bothering me financially because we're so busy. And then, paychecks always end up being good because you're doing so many refinances. And then it stimulates purchases as well.
Right.
So then people that are sitting on the sidelines start going, it's time for me to get in. In fact, right now is the best time to buy a house.
You've been saying that.
Yeah. Because we've got this little window of opportunity that when rates went up, of course, a bunch of people paused and said, whoa, wait a minute. I think I'm going to hold back and not do anything. Well, 6 months ago, you had people paying $100,000 to $300,000 more for a house, more than the asking price, just to get it. Mm-hmm. Today, you don't have to do that. So you're saving that $100 to $300.
It's not going to dip down.
No,
it's probably going to flatten. But it'll still rise.
They're saying 9% appreciation this year.
Yeah.
About 4% next year.
Right.
And about 3% the next year. They're saying a total in the next 5 years of about 26% growth. So we're telling people to marry the house and date the rate. Right.
That's amazing. That's an amazing phrase.
Right.
Yeah.
Get the house now while you can, because that same house is going to be more. Right. Now, the sellers that are not with the times of today, that are still trying to get 100 over asking, no, they're going to have to lower that. But the people that are reasonable, they're going to sell their house. I think the average time is 16 days.
Yeah.
That's not bad. I mean, it was 1 day, right? 1 to 7 days, but the average time on the market is about 16 days. So, we're still short in inventory by $820,000 homes in the nation. So,
I was about to say in Middle Tennessee, that's a lot of houses.
in the nation. But in Middle Tennessee, we have about 6,600 homes available.
Right.
And in 2018, there's around 16,000 homes available.
Oh my gosh!
So we're way short. Now the good news is, last year we were around in the 4,000s. So we're better.
Wow.
But we're not close to where we need to be. So you're going to still, because it's a simple demand and supply.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough, I'm willing to pay more, I'll get it. Right. And so it's just real simple math or economics. But house prices are going to continue to go up.
Yeah.
And so people that are smart would be like Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett always says, when people get scared is when I get greedy.
When there's blood in the streets.
When people get greedy, I get scared.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
And so right now is the time to get in and get the house. And then, restructure your rate later.
Yeah. I've been trying to be as cash liquid as possible the past couple of years. Just build up the reserve account.
That's smart because there'll be some good opportunities coming up too.
Yeah. I mean, even, I kind of reconfigured my crypto assets recently and all of a sudden they're just starting to pop, I usually tell people when I'm getting back into the market, I'm like, okay, it's time for you to get out because I'm getting in.
Right.
It's typically when things go down.
It's hard to time everything.
No.
I try to stay with what I know. That's why I'm staying. I don't know crypto, so I haven't really dabbled in it. And I know real estate pretty well, so I stay there. And now I'm diversified. I've got a real good financial planner, Zach, I heard over at Raymond James. And I've got money over there, and I put the maximum amount I can with them and with our 401k and all that. So I'm diversified, but I still lean towards real estate. That's where I.
Are you familiar with Cardone and his stuff that he does?
Yeah.
Are you a fan?
I know him. I honestly hadn't listened to him, but I know of him.
Yeah, he's kind of he does the Cardone Capital thing. We actually took one of our IRAs that my wife had for a while, and it was a small amount of money, and I'm like, let's try it out. I'm a fan of the guy. I like him. I've done some work for him. I think he likes me, so we'll put some money with his fund. We get paid a little bit a month. It's legit. But I've always a lot of people say, well, the fees are high and this is high, and I'm going, well, he's bringing the properties, he's got the relationships, he's got the.
So it's like a REIT. Is it like a real estate investment
syndication?
Trust? Okay, I know a syndication. I know what those are. Yeah.
So I mean, that's the way it's explained to me. Yeah. I don't really know the nitty gritty of it. You probably know better than I do. But, he buys into these 400, 500 unit luxury apartment complexes. And he goes out, he finds them.
Jana Truman and Brian Truman in our they do that. They help people do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's either it's kind of like, the turnkey solution for accredited and sometimes even unaccredited investors.
Yeah.
As we were, with this IRA, he had an unaccredited opportunity. We're not doing anything with the money anyway, and it's barely making any gains.
Right.
If it's tied to an asset that's appreciating in value and has, cash flow, and we're getting a little piece every month, it's nothing to write home about. But hey, I'm seeing how it works.
Yeah.
So if I, 10x the investment. Or 20x the investment, I can do the math on that. That puts me at a hopefully accredited investor scenario, and maybe the game changes at that point. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah,
that's where I need to talk to Brian and Jana.
Yeah, I've been talking to him a lot lately about trading in some of my greenhouses for the Red Hotel and working on that part.
The monopoly.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, I mean it's. The velocity of money, I learned that. It's the wealthy move money around. They don't just park it somewhere.
It's action.
They move it around and they make it work for them. They don't just park it and let it just sit there. And
Cardone says,
really interesting.
Cardone says money likes attention being paid to it.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay attention to it, it'll cheat on you.
And I am a neophyte on it. I'm still learning so much.
Me too. And I feel like I'm so late to the game.
I feel like I'm late to the game.
Really?
Oh yeah,
dude. It should make you feel better that I'm not much. You're not much older than I am, but I'm like, you're so much farther ahead than I am, man.
And I really have a passion to try to teach our younger folks how to do that. So when our first time buyers start talking to me, I actually start talking to them. Then I'm like, okay, this is your first house.
Yeah.
But do what I'm telling you to do, not what I did, right? And keep it.
Yeah.
Right. And then rent it out, and then keep that one, and rent it out and keep that one. And, because if you're willing to live in it, someone else is willing to live in it. I've always deemed those as great rentals.
Yeah.
And my wife is really good about putting them together and making them look great. And every single time the people that rent our places comment, wow, this doesn't look like a rental.
Yeah.
This looks like a home because it's really nice. And
do you rent them furnished and everything?
No.
Okay.
No. But we just take care of them. We treat them like we're about to move in.
Right.
Right. And it makes it different because it's not a company. You call my wife and she'll she'll get someone in our BNI group to go over and help.
So she's acting as the management in a way, the managing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now she does until we get big enough, and then we'll get Patrick Murphy to help us. He's a good property manager.
Right. So that's the only thing. If I were to do that, I just want just management company take care.
You can have them. Yeah. They'll do a great job.
You just make less money.
I referred him to a single girl that's moving to New York, and she's going to rent her house out for a year, and he's going to help her find the person, manage it, make the money, just put it in her mailbox. That's it.
Yeah. We just handle everything. You pay us a fee.
Yeah.
Is it typically a percentage of the rent that they get? Okay.
Yeah. I want to say it's 10%, but I'm not sure.
That's not horrible.
No. It's really not bad at all.
So, I mean, if you, depending on whatever your...
and they have the economy of scale, so they have crews that can go and do things. And the contacts. And believe it, right now, because of the shortage of people working, it's hard to get people to come out and do anything for you.
That's the thing is that, in our BNI, we want tradespeople. I mean, I'm going, guys, they don't need it.
No, they don't.
They are covered up.
Yeah.
When I was running an electrical team back last year, it was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Well, my 19-year-old son, I said, you ought to just do a trade. You'll probably make more than some of the doctors.
Oh, you're telling your son that?
Yes.
Dude, if he wants to come work for us, bring him on.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. How old is he?
Got him a job. Happy birthday. It's his birthday today.
He's 19?
19.
Absolutely, yeah. We want to interview him.
Yeah.
Especially if he's cut from your cloth. Totally.
He's a sharp kid.
Yeah, let's talk.
Great
yeah, I'm glad I talked to him.
He doesn't want to go to college. He doesn't know what he wants to do. But
that's okay.
Okay.
He doesn't have to be, a student of Nick Saban like you are.
Well... I know. Not everyone can be that perfect.
Well, the good news is that the Ferrari dealership is, I don't know if that one's half owned by Nick Saban, but the Mercedes dealership is.
It is.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an amazing organization.
Yes.
That group.
Well, and I went by, and they actually had the Ferraris in Mercedes now.
Yeah.
And went by and saw a couple of them over there. And they have a nice, very nice shop there.
We were there about a month ago fixing some of the lighting because we put our lights in the showroom and on the sign.
Great.
Thank you. The sign on the I-40 got colored lights in it. And we were, I was actually I closed it. They trust me enough to close the place up. So I was getting my crew together. We were wrapping up and, about to head out. And I said, you know what, let's put a rainbow show on, just kind of let it play through. And I need to get some video for our social media stuff. And I've got video of the Ferraris under the colored lights and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Those are pretty cars.
They really are.
Rolling works of art.
Yeah. Skateboards with rocket engines on them, pretty much.
Yeah, they're very fast.
Yeah. I've never driven one. One of these days I got to.
We'll have to solve that.
I may don't put it out there. I may take you up on it.
Come on.
Yeah. I've never driven a Ferrari, never driven a Lambo. Lamborghini was always my soup du jour.
Yeah.
I had them
some
hanging
people
on
are
my wall.
Lambo and some people are Ferrari.
Not in this day and age though. I like the Ferraris better.
Oh, I do
They're
too.
prettier.
Yeah.
The Lambos are just they look like wedges now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Countach started that.
Yeah, those were
But the Countach just was badass.
Yeah.
The angularity of it and everything.
Yeah. I love the curves of the Ferrari.
Yeah. I do too.
Very pretty.
But I mean, I've always heard that a Countach is just a nightmare to drive.
Yeah, I've got some friends that have Gallardos, and those got quite a few electrical issues. But Audi owns them, and so after the Gallardo, they started getting a lot better because of Audi. Because of Audi. Yeah. You
know the story between Ferrari and Lamborghini, how they all began?
Oh, someone told me that. Do you know it?
Lamborghini, Ferruccio Lamborghini.
Tractor?
He made tractors, farm implements for farmers in Italy.
Yeah.
And was a huge fan of Ferrari and what he did. And he got the opportunity to meet Enzo Ferrari at one point. And at this point, I think Lamborghini started working on a prototype of a sports car site with the inspiration from Ferrari. And being that Enzo Ferrari was the inspiration, he was in awe.
Yeah.
And apparently, met him, was complete in awe being in his company and everything, and just eviscerated himself and said, I'm going to do everything that you did because of your inspiration. And Enzo said, yeah, well, good luck, farm boy.
Yeah.
Farm boy.
Yeah.
What does he mean by farm boy? Oh, you SOB, I'm going to show you. And that's how it was born.
Enzo Ferrari has had a knack of doing that to people. Look at what, the Ford versus Ferrari movie.
Yeah. That was a good movie.
Yeah. I wonder how close to truth that was. But
I don't know, man.
That was a really good movie.
Then when they brought the was it the CEO of Ford in to take him for a ride?
That was awesome.
That was awesome. So getting back to the talk about recessions, a lot of people are worried about that. I was getting to talk about you at one point. Were there any recessions that you remember that were any painful for you?
Well, 2008 was really hard.
Right.
Because no one had been through anything like that before. And, we were doing mortgages before that time for people. And I never really felt comfortable doing mortgages for people that didn't make the right amount of income to qualify. Mm-hmm. But it was being done all
everywhere.
The time. Everywhere. And
we probably shouldn't have gotten the mortgage we got.
Right. It kind of got to the point that if you didn't do it, you're kind of not going to be in the business because everyone else is doing it. And so when we did those mortgages, I remember it got so crazy at the end that I just didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I really wasn't sleeping too well at night going, this just isn't right.
Something about this doesn't add up.
This just isn't right.
Yeah.
And then when it started going down every single day, we would get guideline changes that were reduced and taken away.
Yeah.
And then you have a pipeline of people that were already pre-approved that are no longer pre-approved because those guideline changes were tightening of those changes all the time. And the Dodd-Frank Act came out and changed a lot of things. Changed comp, LO comp for loan officers, changed a lot of things for the good. They brought in a couple of things, that were not necessary, but looking back, a lot of it was for the good. Mm-hmm. And then that was really hard for so many people because a lot of my friends and builders were realtors and builders, and they were really struggling. Mm-hmm. I had some pretty top realtors that were thinking that they were going to lose their home, and had some friends lose their homes, foreclose, and it got really bad because at that time there was no equity either.
Right.
So
because it was all interest-only loans, AP and adjustable rates.
Yeah, so the problem was that there was no equity. So when they went to sell their house, there was no equity to sell it.
It was first time ever being upside down.
I never heard of the term short sale until then. And I was like, what's a short sale?
They did that in Vegas.
Well, yeah.
A ton.
Oh, yeah. Everywhere. And people started talking about a short sale, and I was like, well, I'll have to look at that, or I don't know what that is. And it's basically they're upside down, in their equity. And so and people were doing, what was interesting is people were doing strategic defaults, meaning, I bought a house in Vegas, right, for $600, and now it's only worth $400.
Yeah.
So I actually owe $200 because I did 100% financing on it. Mm. So I'm just going to not pay my payment and just walk away. And I'm saving $400,000,
right,
or $200,000 because I would have had to pay $200 to get out of it.
But they're roasting their credit, though.
Right. For 7 years.
Yeah.
And then they come back.
To the T.
Oh, yeah. Then they come right back in 7 years and do it again.
Yeah.
So Fannie Mae had never seen that before. People that have great credit just decide not to ever make a payment. Yeah, they're just like, I'm done. I'm out.
Meanwhile, they could have just they only lost because they sold. They could have hung around, and it would have come back.
Yeah, it would have come back, and it would have been great. And I owned a couple of homes that were underwater at that point that I still own, and fortunately, it's a lot higher now.
You hung in there.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Again, the thing that we talked about with real estate, in time, it heals if you have the time and the cash flow to make it through.
To weather it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just rented that house that was underwater, and it ended up working out great.
Yeah, even if you break even, you know that the sun's going to rise again at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember the turning point? What year was it when you felt like, okay, we're back on track? I want to say it
took a while.
It did. I mean, it was like 2012, 2013, I want to say.
I want to say, even in 14, it was slow.
Really?
So I'd say 15 and 16, it started getting a little bit better.
I went into the car business in 2013. So that for me was a massive year of pivot.
Yeah.
Because I got out of radio, my career that I loved for so long, and went into another industry that was kind of doing one of these kind of on the decline, at least where we were in the company we worked for. And then I got out into self-employment in 2016 for the first time. So that was my story. But I mean, doing the self-employed thing, the timing, I guess, kind of played out because like you're talking about 2014, 2015, that would have made sense because we've been on the rise ever since.
Yeah, it took some time. For that one was a pretty tough recovery. And it was mainly because there just was no equity in homes. So right now, there's tons of equity in homes.
And that's the thing. Right? It drives me nuts when people tell me, well, it's 08 all over again. I'm going, no.
It's not anything like it.
But they said this years ago, that the bubble has to burst. And I'm going, well, based on what?
It's sort of like our parents, right? And they were so frugal because their parents went through the
Great Depression. Yeah.
And so fear is 3 times more powerful than any other emotion.
Yeah.
And so they're going to remember that.
Yeah.
And they're going to default to it every single time.
I think
that's the main problem why most people are on the sidelines right now.
I had the benefit, and I call it a benefit, to the 91 recession. Remember that one?
Yeah.
I was 16 at the time, 15, 16, in high school for the first time. My father had a telephone interconnect company, so he did business telephone systems, voicemail systems, a little bit of IT that was emerging at the time. I wasn't really all that active and involved in the business, but when that recession hit, he closed up a business in Elmsford, New York, that it did probably about $2 million a year, and in the 80s that was huge. We lived pretty high on the hog.
That is.
It had a lot of toys. He had boats and RVs and all this other stuff. Nice house. I grew up very, very well off, but when he saw it coming a mile away. So I think he automatically had a mindset of scarcity when that happened. And, maybe for good reason, because that kind of a business, hey, I'll get by the next couple of years with my phones that I have. I don't need to sell or buy another system.
Right.
He had some recurring monthly things with maintenance contracts and those tools and things at his disposal. But for the most part, he contracted age 50, having to go back out in a truck and do just to make a daily living. Mm-hmm. Each day would pay maybe a week in advance of living for us. To the point where my parents both got divorced, not because they couldn't get along, but they put everything in my mom's name and just trashed the crap out of him. So they couldn't come after all the creditors couldn't come after our house.
Yeah.
So I remember that. I tell this story, the story about the pizza. We were building out the office in our basement so we could operate the business. So he was pulling everything from Elmsford. We all moved into our house, moved the business into the house, and we had a large basement. And one Saturday, I'm oddly enough helping him put up a light. And I said, hey, why don't we order a pizza for lunch? And I was, Domino's pizza was $11 at the time. And he kind of looked up, and I'll never forget this. He looked up at me and says, well, we can't. I'm like, oh, I'm working on, why not? He goes, we can't afford it. And I stopped. Huh. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm 16 years old. I'm like, we can't afford $11, dude.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
But I remember that.
Yeah. Of course.
I've never felt it tactically like that ever again.
Yeah.
Even with the periods we've gone through, the internet bust, post 9/11, 08, 09, I had the benefit of working for a company that was cash flush. We took a reduction in pay, but we kept our jobs.
Yeah.
So we still had income.
That's where I'm blessed at Churchill. They're all cash and no debt.
Yeah.
And that's weathered us for 30 years.
Yeah.
And made us even stronger. So those principles are really important, especially in a business, but carried through to the family. You know, the more cash. I mean, most businesses run short, and you can tell this too. But most businesses run short just because of lack of cash.
Yeah, it's oxygen
at some period of time. You know, that they're just run out of cash. Same thing with families.
Yeah,
most families run bankrupt just because of your lack of cash. You know? Yeah. And so it's important to have that emergency fund and live below your means in that perspective.
Okay, so I'll put a hypothetical to you. Person like myself, been in my house for 16, 17 years, right? What should we be doing or thinking about right now to capitalize on what's going on?
That's a great question, because there's probably a lot of people like that. It depends on your appetite for risk.
Right.
Have you heard that from anyone before?
Oh, yeah. Robert Kiyosaki, right?
Yeah. And it's also, you know, any investor, smart investment advisor would tell you that, would say it depends on your appetite for risk.
Yeah.
If you want to be really risky, you probably have a ton of equity in your house, right? I get a line of credit and go buy a house.
Right.
Rent it out.
Mm-hmm. A home equity line of credit.
Yeah. 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 You know, that would be something that where now you've got another asset, because the equity in your house, how much is it making you?
Right. Nothing. It's locked up.
Your house is growing at the same pace no matter how much you owe on it.
Yeah. So put it in something that, and it's funny, I tell the young people here the same thing.
Yeah.
Here's a good question. If you could go back and do it all over again.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good
What
question.
would you tell your younger self? Dude, you got to do this.
Yeah. Whew. Get as many houses as fast as you can. Buy every single one that you can.
But I mean, you're not talking buying cash. You're talking about taking, because that's good debt.
Yeah.
You know, if you're turning a mortgage into cash flowing debt.
Well, it's an asset. I'm buying an asset. So buy as many assets as you can. And assets don't have to be just houses. It's just what I do.
Yeah.
It's my tool. An asset could be a business.
Could be land.
Where you have licensing in a business, or books, or you have, you know, different, you know, you own a business that has licensing, you can sell the licensing. You know, it really depends on what you're good at and what you're, you know, but I would just say gain assets, you know, because really that's what it's about. I work, you know, I love my work and I'm blessed to work at a great place, but I work to build my assets.
Right.
Right. And because I know that's going to be long term.
And now you want to get to the multifamily type of properties.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it. You know, hadn't done it yet. But
there was a conversation I had with a young person here who she wanted to move out. And this methodology was kind of born out of that conversation. I said, you know, what are you paying now to your parents? She goes, nothing. I said, okay. How old are you? 20. Here's what I would do if I were you. I said, go find, as much as we love you, I'd hate to lose you, go find a job that gives you a platform that you could sell. Learn how to sell, learn how to conduct business within that organization and that ecosystem, learn how to prospect, learn how to present a product, how to have the gift of gab, create relationships and nurture them, how to close, how to follow up, how to develop leads and referrals and networking, and learn all that stuff. Grind for 3, 4, 5 years, right? By the time you're 23, 24, 25 years old, if you stay disciplined with putting the money away, okay, and have a goal by the time you're 24, 25 to have $250,000 in the bank. If you sell cars, if you sell roofing, if you sell power sports, you should be able to do that with keeping your expenses just minimum, understanding that you're going to grind, it's bell to bell. I said, even if you hate what you're doing, you cannot stand it. That's a valuable lesson. If you get great at what you hate, man.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, you can do anything at that point. Yeah. Now, then what I do, Jim, like I said, take your $250,000 and pop it down on a multifamily. Just find a place. As in the meantime, while you're dominating and crushing your earning goals and you're learning all that, find the people, find the players you need to be talking to, find the Brian and Janet Trumans that you need to be talking to. Okay, I want this by the time I'm 25, 26. remember me when I turn that age and let's talk. And I want to be in on something that I can get. I want to live in one and have everybody else pay my rent. I said, and that's how you move out of mom and dad's house. I said, guys, once you do that first property like that, that's that size, that's the hardest one, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I've never done it before. It sounds good in my mind.
Yeah.
I said, and just rinse, wash, rinse, and repeat.
Yeah.
You know, by the time you're 30, I said, I guarantee you'll be a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do now.
Buying assets.
But I've got expenses. I've got a family. I've got mortgages, you know.
Do it while you don't have all those.
Right.
Things. Yeah.
You know, trouble with youth is that it's wasted on the youth.
Exactly. Right.
It's wasted on the young.
Exactly.
As they say.
Yeah.
So getting into it, we're kind of forgetting about this part of it. Kevin, what is your problem? What are some of the things you're kind of contending with? You have can I take a stab at it, what it might be?
Yeah.
How do you make yourself into an influencer?
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
We talked about that before.
We did.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
You have the chutzpah.
Well,
you have the horsepower.
Yeah, to a point, you know. I want to do it for the right reasons.
Sure.
Not for me, but so I can help others. So that's really the heart of it.
That's the first, the best thing to do it for.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Love to be able to just what we've been talking about, just
help people.
Teach people and help people do that.
Well, you have the horsepower to do it, right? But what were you going to say? I just kind of speculated.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I was thinking sort of like what's the next step, the next stage,
right?
You know, right now I'm still originating mortgages and I'm managing my branch and teaching my team, recruiting the team. So I think stepping more into teaching and recruiting and managing and originating a little bit less because it just takes a lot of time, you know. But I've got a good team that does that. So when my team is all here, I had one out today on vacation and well deserved. He's a really good key person in our team. But when he's here, it helps me do a lot more.
Right.
But that's where I'm pointing in. That's the direction I'm going right now is working on doing that on within Churchill, within the company, is just helping great loan officers do better and get to the next level.
So a mentoring of sorts.
Yeah, and helping them help their clients better, help their referral sources better, learn what I've done in the last 27 years.
Right.
And do it shorter. They can do it a lot faster than I did.
Let me ask you this. You'd mentioned, you know, recruitment. What are some of the things, I mean, age-wise, if you got somebody who's 20 years old that comes to you, I just want to do what you do. Show me how. Are you going to take them on?
We had been taking them on because we're the only lender that Dave Ramsey recommends. So we were able to use some of those Dave Ramsey leads and help those clients, but also teach our loan officers at the same time. The hardest thing with originating currently is just where are you going to get the business? Just generating the leads, because it's gone down so much because rates have gone up so much, right? So there's no refi business left. I mean, say no, there are opportunities, but not as many. But purchase business is still good, but it's pretty much taken by the good loan officers that already have those relationships with the realtors.
But I mean, you're still going to have inbound business of some sort, you know, where you're going to have people that if they're 20, 21, well, good. You're young. You're going to grind.
Yep.
It's going to be, you're going to have to eat dirt for a while, but that's okay.
That's what we've gone to. We've gone to saying, okay, you're not going to get any leads, right? So don't expect any, and go out and build it, and we'll teach you how to do that, right? And we've actually got some people that are doing great.
I bet.
I've been really, it's fun to be surprised and see people just take off, you know, and go, wow, all right. And you know, some are still trying to figure out what the right combination is, and everyone has a little different personality, which is the fun part, because they're going to build their business a little differently.
But I mean, teaching them the fundamentals.
Yep.
You know, before you make the house pretty, you got to build a strong foundation. You know,
and really, that's in sales. It's prospecting. You know, every single time it's prospecting and building relationships.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can do that, then you can pretty much transfer that to just about any sales, right? Like you just said, you learn that skill. You learn how to build relationships and build trust.
I believe sales is everything, man.
Well, it is.
You're either being sold or you're doing the selling.
Right. And if you tell me you're not in sales, you're selling me on the fact that you're not in sales.
Ain't that the truth? Amen.
Right.
Yeah.
You just sold me on the fact that you don't like sales.
That's what Edward Fox said in the last episode.
Really?
Yeah.
I just made that up myself.
Yeah, but it's still true.
I thought it was original.
I love it when people, I don't like sales. Oh, yeah? You're married, right? Yeah. How did that happen?
Right. Right.
Well, I asked her to marry me. Well, guess what? You're in sales.
Yeah.
You made a sale.
People take one look at my wife and look at me and they know I'm a good salesman.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean,
for sure.
If you have a kid coming to you, 20, 21, 22 years old,
yeah,
Kevin, I don't care what it takes. I just want to come in here every day, show me what to do. I'm going to do it. I understand I'm going to have to eat dirt for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. By the time I'm 25, I have the long-term outlook that I know it'll start paying off right around there. Mm-hmm. You going to take that person on, you think? Or, I mean, do you have an age that you...
We would interview them.
Yeah.
We would interview them for sure.
I mean, because that's what a lot of people forget. Also, the interview is a sale.
Yeah.
It's a sales pitch.
Yeah.
On both ends.
Yeah. Yeah. We would definitely interview them. We want to interview a couple of times with a couple different people just to make sure we're making the right decision. But yeah, we would take on someone like that because, like I said, I've been pleasantly surprised with some that we've gotten, and I've been really excited for them to see them grow.
Yeah.
And they're all different, and they're young, and they have youth on their side.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And their brain is pliable rather than solid and unflexible.
When they're green, they grow. When they're ripe, they're rot.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's a great saying.
It's great, but and I pray that God always allows me to be pliable, to be flexible and learning, and growing.
You give me the impression that you're not above. You're always learning. You're always figuring. Yeah.
I try to be.
Even going back to the fundamentals and the basics, sometimes doing that. I saw that a lot in the car business with guys that were old car dogs, 20-year guys, and we'd get a trainer that came in, and they would come, what's this guy telling me about how to sell cars? I've been doing this. You mean there's not one thing that at least reminded you about something or maybe opened your eyes to something you haven't considered before? Yeah. Or did you put your ego and pride in front of what you possibly could have taken away?
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many...
We have a Patrick Lencioni, The Ideal Team Player.
Yeah.
Is one of our favorite books, and we want to hire people that are humble, hungry, and smart.
Yeah.
And the humility, the humble, knowing that, hey, I don't know everything and that I can learn a lot. And I can learn from anybody, really, is really important. Anyone who thinks that they can't learn or they've learned it all, we don't really want them in our organization.
Well, I mean, there's an organization out there, and I'm surprised. I should reach out to him and get him on the podcast. His name is Arnie Malham. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but it's Malham or Malham, Malham. And he ran a advertising agency for years called CJ Advertising, and it specialized in personal injury attorneys. And that's what he did all across the country, and built the business, sold the business. And he's a huge culture guy. You build the culture, you get everybody swimming in the same direction with the same ferocity. You get them, if you got people that'll take a bullet for you, great, right? If not, you get killed in friendly fire. I've been in both situations. He's got something, and if you're a big learning-centric culture and you want your people reading books, the same kind of books that you guys read, Arnie's got an organization called betterbookclub.com.
Oh, cool.
And it's for organizations that are like yours. Mm-hmm. So if you want accountability to go along, hey, I want you to read. Not only do I want you to read, we're going to reward you for it. So his organization actually does that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. Betterbookclub.com. You're welcome, Arnie.
Yeah.
And we got to get you down here.
Get him to be a
Kevin,
sponsor.
how do people follow and find you?
I don't even know.
Is it therealkevinwatson.com?
The little at symbol and then Kevin Watson. I think that's it.
We're going to find all the handles and everything. We'll put them in the social media section of the description. And
they can look it up at churchillmortgage.com.
We'll have it in the description of the podcast.
/ Kevin Watson.
Yeah.
I know that. But that's a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Everybody's going with the real fill in the blank. The real Kevin Watson.
That's it.
Yeah.
That'll work.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
So, if you like what Kevin is saying, make sure to follow along. All the links will be in the description of the body of the podcast. And of course, if you like what we're doing, follow along with us, if you will. I can't word today. What's your problem podcast?
It's Friday. It's okay.
It really isn't. I was actually pulling wire earlier, so give me a break. What's your problem podcast.com. Check us out. If you've got an idea for a guest, let me know. If there's anything else you want us to be covering, or if you've got a problem you want to come on board and sit on the couch and we kvetch for an hour, that would be great. What's your problem podcast.com. Kevin, always a pleasure to talk to you, sir.
It's a pleasure, my friend.
Yes, I always glean something from you.
That was fun.
Yes.
Thank you.